Hello, Prince Michael. Good to see you. You are His Majesty, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Sealand, the smallest, most fiercely independent nation on earth. Sealand is an island off the coast of England, right?
Yep, it's based on an old wartime fortress in the North Sea, and as you say, it's the smallest independent state in the world.
Wow. So I've looked at this, and you seem functionally independent. You're not recognized by everybody, but you do have control over your own affairs. That's pretty darn neat.
Well, I mean, China wasn't recognized by the United States until just a few years ago, and 1.3, 1.4 billion people, you can't say they weren't there. So recognition isn't absolutely everything. Although we have had a visit by the German ambassador, and that was de facto recognition, and certain British court cases and everything else. But recognition isn't everything.
Right. And your father, Prince Roy, started this as a basically a pirate radio station, right? How did Sealand come about?
Well, he originally was interested in the idea of pirate radio, which the government branded them pirate radio stations. I mean, it was the best branding you could do. The British government thought they were being disparaging, but of course everybody loved it. Everybody loves a pirate as long as they're not making you walk the plank, you know. So my father got involved with putting a radio station on a different wartime fortress out at sea, and the reason was the territorial limits of the United Kingdom were 3 miles, which was a distance you could fire a cannonball and still penetrate a foot of oak. So, in other words, the area they could control way back when. So he put this radio station out there to broadcast into the UK, where you only had the BBC. There was no pop music for the kids, and the public loved all this. There's quite a few stations on ships and several of these wartime forts. But they changed the law. They extended territorial limits, and my father had to close the station down. So he looked for a better jurisdiction, and he ended up on what was then Ruff's Towers. But instead of putting the radio station back on the air, which was his initial idea, he had
Right.
a bizarre idea of declaring independence.
So the Ruff's Towers, Sealand has been around for a long time now. The war just celebrated 75th anniversary since it ended, and I actually have some cool questions. I actually kind of crowdsourced some of them. Yeah. So the station Sealand's been around for a long time. How's it doing? How's its physical integrity? How's it holding up?
Well, like all of us, it's getting a bit old, I suppose. I mean, I was 14 when I first started living out there, and I'm what am I 68 now, so we're all getting a bit old and a bit moth-eaten, I suppose. But it's still fine, and they gave it a 200-year lifespan when they built it. So yeah, good.
Great, great. And here's a fun question I got from a friend. Have you ever considered taxing your nobles to improve the infrastructure of your kingdom?
Great idea. I'll be on it tomorrow. No,
Yeah,
I don't think that's the way forward at the moment, but
yeah.
interesting idea.
So about the nobilities, you have a brisk business. You sell noble titles, and as I've shown you already, but here, this is my noble title, my baronial title from Sealand. You can become a baron, a duke, etc. In the UK and in other titles with countries with nobility, there is an order of precedence. So here's the fun part. How do you keep track of all the deeds and titles? And have you established an order of precedence?
Well, we have a royal register based on Sealand, which is obviously computer based these days. But the idea came about. I mean, I did think about it many years ago before the internet. But the idea came about because we had to fund Sealand, and it's extremely expensive, obviously, when you live offshore, and fuel, food, even wages, boats, and everything. And it was really hard work finding the money to do it. And now our followers get involved with our adventure by joining our ranks of nobility, and it's great. And I think they enjoy the whole thing, and to be part of it, and it helps us no end. So yeah, we're very very proud of them.
Yeah, and it helps you keep financially solvent. And I'm also a fan of, I mean, how far you've gone towards recognition. For example, you have your own sports teams. You have awarded titles to some minor and major celebrities. Um, uh, uh, there's this source of pride in recognition. Do you have any new ideas about how to do ceremonial recognition or whatnot?
We're always thinking about new ideas and what to do next. You know, I mean, our ultimate plan with Sealand itself is to try and raise some land about it around it, a small island. You know, but the whole and people, I mean, feel free people to write in with email with ideas. Contact at sealandgov.org. We get literally hundreds of emails and questions every day.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, you are functionally independent. You've fought off armed forces from other countries.
Yeah.
You've held your own, and here's a fun question from a big fan of yours. Have you ever been tempted to create a navy, invade some uninhabited islands, and get more territory just for the fun of it?
No, not at all. Although it has been suggested we should declare war on the United States and then the next day surrender, and then they just send you all the aid over to help you out and modernize the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't think that's the way forward.
Yeah, yeah, this is fun. So anyway, I hear that I haven't read the entire book yet, but you've had a long journey. There was even a kidnapping back in the day. I mean, feel free to elaborate on any of this. You've got a wonderful, rich history, and I think people would like to know.
Yeah, it's been a great. It's actually a great adventure story from one end to the other. I mean, initially the British government wanted to stop us, and they had the Prime Minister had a meeting with his ministers, and they decided we might become the Cuba off the east coast of England, and they decided to stop us. And there were other radio factions that wanted to take the fortress over, and then other people, as you say, we had a coup. I was taken prisoner and kidnapped and dumped on a harbour wall in Holland, and then we went back in a helicopter and slid down ropes, you know, 100 foot above the sea in half a gale of wind, without even considering to wear life jackets. We were so wound up we didn't even get that far with thinking it. So yeah, it's been a really interesting. I mean, there's been several near Hollywood films so far, for various reasons. Hollywood's a little bit flaky, but we've nearly had the Hollywood blockbuster several times about the Sealand story.
So it's not, in my opinion, it's not if Hollywood makes a film about you. I think at some point it will be greenlit. And actually, there's a question I ask everybody. Doesn't matter if they're a senator or an artist or a disability rights advocate. I'm very involved in the disability rights field because I have a number myself, and because it's where my career has taken me. What are your points of view of people with disabilities and other forms of diversity being represented in entertainment? There has been a lack of representation in entertainment. Do you have any thoughts on getting out there?
Well, the whole Sealand idea is about freedom of speech, freedom of worship, and as long as it's morally sound, freedom of whatever. So I have no problems with that. I mean, a lot of these things are a difference, not a disadvantage, aren't they? So we're open to anybody who wants to step forward and into the public eye,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
creed, color, religion, whatever, you know.
yeah, yeah. So what are Sealand's current projects and goals?
Well, at the moment, we've been doing quite a lot of maintenance on the actual structure itself, and that's ongoing. And as I say, we're working on plans to maybe try and raise a bit of land around the fortress itself. Um, yeah, and we're going into the winter now. We've survived COVID so far. I mean, that's turned the world on its nose, isn't it? It's been a really
Yeah.
strange time. I don't know where, but I read today in a newspaper that it might be around for another 10 years or something like that, which is a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Um,
Has Sealand had any cases yet?
no, no,
Wow.
no. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
I think you're awesome. You don't have any cases. Any ideas for the future? Any new embassies or consulates you want to open up? Any new products you want to support?
No, no, we're just obviously our titles. If you go, if people look on our website, sealandgov.org, you'll see our online shop. You know, there's quite a few things there, and everything sold there goes towards supporting the Principality and its aspirations and views, and we really appreciate the support of our followers.
And I'm encouraging everybody. Please go to SealandGov and go to the website. I'll leave a link to the website in the YouTube page, and if I post this on the podcast, I'll also leave a link to that. I'll leave a link to your Twitter. Sealand is a very noble endeavor, and we support you here at my firm 100%. Prince Michael, thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful. And did you have any other remarks you wanted to share?
No, I just thank you very much, Baron Alec, for your support, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. Pleasure speaking to you too. It's been wonderful.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.